What if the people closest to you, family, friends, even the ones who swore loyalty, were the very knives aimed at your back? Tonight, you're about to witness a story of betrayal, vengeance, and the thin line between justice and obsession. Stay until the end because the truth you'll uncover is darker than you can imagine. And before we dive in, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. It helps us bring more thrilling stories straight to you. Chapter 1. The invitation rain slapped against the glass windows of the high-rise, blurring the neon lights of the city below. Adrian Cole sat at the head of the long mahogany table, his sharp blue eyes scanning the faces around him. Partners, allies, so-called friends, they were all here. On the surface, Adrian was a corporate titan, the face of Cole Industries, but beneath the polished exterior was a man forged in shadows. He had clawed his way to the top, striking deals with the kind of men who never signed contracts but sealed pacts with blood. And tonight, he could feel it. Something was wrong. The invitation had been too perfect, a dinner to celebrate a new venture, a merger that promised billions. But Adrian had been in this game too long. Deals like this never came without a hidden blade. He raised his glass, but didn't drink. His instincts whispered, someone here isn't loyal. Chapter 2. Whispers in the dark. Adrian's most trusted man, Marcus, leaned in close. Boss, I don't like this. Half the people at this table want what you built. The other half want you gone. Adrian smirked, hiding the tension tightening his jaw. That's nothing new. But as the wine flowed and laughter echoed, Adrian caught the subtle glances exchanged when they thought he wasn't looking. Whispers he wasn't meant to hear. The hairs on the back of his neck bristled. Then, just as dessert was served, the power cut out. Darkness swallowed the room. Adrian's hand instinctively reached under the table, where he always kept a concealed pistol. Footsteps shuffled. A glass shattered. Then a single gunshot split the silence. When the emergency lights flickered on, one man was dead. But it wasn't Adrian. It was Marcus, his most loyal friend. And in that frozen moment, as the room gasped in horror, Adrian realized this wasn't an accident. This was the opening move. Chapter 3. The first betrayal. Adrian knelt beside Marcus' body. His friend's lifeless eyes stared upward, lips parted as if trying to speak one last warning. Boss, a voice trembled. We didn't see who fired. But Adrian knew better. The shot hadn't been meant for Marcus. It had been meant for him. Which meant someone at this table had betrayed him and Marcus had died in his place. Rage burned through him, cold and sharp. He stood slowly, meeting each person's gaze, his voice low and steady. Lock the doors. No one leaves until I know who pulled the trigger. Chapter 4. Shadows of the past. The hours that followed blurred into interrogations, lies, and half-truths. Adrian played the room like a chessboard, moving pieces, probing weaknesses. He had built his empire on trust and fear, and now he would find out which had cracked first. But then, one detail emerged. The bullet that killed Marcus wasn't a standard round. It was custom-made, a rare caliber used by only a handful of gunsmiths in the city. And Adrian knew exactly one man who owned such a weapon. His brother, Adrian Cole. Chapter 5. Bloodline treachery. Adrian hadn't spoken to Daniel in years. Not since their family had torn itself apart, not since Daniel had chosen loyalty to the syndicate over his own brother. But if Daniel had resurfaced now, it meant something far bigger was in motion. The pieces began falling into place, the too perfect invitation, the false promises, the staged attempt. Marcus hadn't been collateral. He had been sacrificed to make Adrian vulnerable. And Daniel was pulling the strings. Chapter 6. The Pact unraveled. Adrian sat alone in his office later that night, staring at the city lights. His empire had been built on a pact, a bond of loyalty and fear that had kept his enemies at bay. But Daniel's return shattered that bond. He poured himself a drink, the whiskey burning down his throat. In the glass, he saw Marcus' face. Loyal, unyielding, dead because of him. And in that moment, Adrian made a silent vow. If his own blood wanted war, he would drown him in it. Chapter 7. The enemy. Within over the next few days, Adrian launched his own investigation. Every ally was questioned, every ledger checked, every movement traced. And that's when he uncovered the truth that cut deeper than any bullet. The betrayal wasn't just from his brother. It was from inside his own inner circle. One of his closest confidants had been feeding Daniel information for months. Locations, schedules, weaknesses, Someone Adrian had trusted with his life had already sold him out. Before we continue, if you're still here, it means you love stories of betrayal, suspense, and revenge. Do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next thrilling story. Now let's dive back into Adrian Cole's world, where blood ties and betrayal collide. Chapter 8: The Knife in the Dark. Adrian trusted only a handful of people. Marcus dead, Lena his strategist, Victor his enforcer, and Olivia his legal shield. One of them was the traitor. He staged a trap, a false shipment, a fake meeting location. Only his inner circle knew. That night, gunmen stormed the location. But Adrian wasn't there. From the shadows, he watched as his own enemies arrived, guided by someone he knew. The silhouette stepped into the streetlight. It wasn't Victor. It wasn't Lena. It was Olivia, the woman who had once sworn to protect him in courtrooms, the one he had considered untouchable. She had been Daniel's inside hand all along. Chapter 9: Poison Loyalty. Adrian confronted Olivia the next morning. She didn't deny it. "You built an empire on fear," she said coldly. "But fear doesn't last forever. Daniel offers more. More power. More future. You've already lost." Her betrayal wasn't just business, it was personal. Years of shared secrets, plans, even moments of vulnerability all turned against him. Adrian felt the sting deeper than any wound. But he didn't show it. He only smiled. "Then you've made your choice," he whispered. "Now live with it." Chapter 10: War Without Mercy. The city became a battlefield. Daniel's syndicate struck Adrian's supply lines, burned warehouses, bribed officials. Olivia fed them everything Adrian had tried to protect. But Adrian fought back. Every ally he still trusted was mobilized. Safe houses became fortresses. Streets became traps. Blood spilled nightly. Friends died. Enemies vanished. And through it all, Adrian carried Marcus' memory like a blade at his back. He wouldn't just win. He would make them pay. Chapter 11: The Last Gambit. Adrian planned his counter-strike. He leaked false intel, an arms deal hidden in the docks. Olivia would make sure Daniel took the bait. And Daniel did. But when his men arrived, Adrian's trap was waiting. Explosions ripped through the night sky, turning the docks into a war zone. Daniel barely escaped. But Adrian captured Olivia. Chapter 12: The Betrayer's Plea. In the basement of a silent warehouse, Adrian faced Olivia. She was tied to a chair, eyes defiant but trembling. "Do it," she spat. "Kill me. You're no different than Daniel. You never were." Adrian circled her slowly. His rage burned, but deeper still was a hollowness he couldn't shake. "Why him?" he finally asked. "After everything?" Her answer cut deeper than any betrayal. "Because Daniel believes in a future. You only believe in vengeance. And men like you, men like Marcus, always die clinging to ghosts." For a moment, Adrian faltered. He saw the truth in her words. But then he remembered Marcus lying in his blood. And Adrian chose vengeance. Chapter 13: Brothers at War. The final confrontation came weeks later. Daniel and Adrian faced each other in the ruins of an abandoned cathedral, once a place of worship, now a graveyard of their family's legacy. "You were always blind," Daniel sneered, "clinging to loyalty when loyalty is weakness. And you," Adrian said, leveling his gun, "never understood that betrayal carries a price." The battle was brutal. Close quarters. Knives, fists, bullets. Two brothers fighting not just for power, but for the right to define their family's legacy. In the end, Adrian stood over Daniel, blooded but alive. Daniel smirked even in defeat. "Kill me, brother. But if you do, you'll become me." Chapter 14: The Hollow Throne. Adrian pulled the trigger. Daniel fell. Silence filled the cathedral. He had won. But as Adrian walked away, the weight of it all crushed him. Marcus gone. Olivia gone. His brother dead by his hand. He had an empire, but no trust, no family, only shadows, only vengeance. Epilogue: The pact sealed in blood. Weeks later, Adrian stood in his office, staring at the city once more. His enemies were gone, his empire intact. But his reflection in the glass wasn't the man he once was. The Crimson Pact, the bond of loyalty and blood, was shattered. He had avenged Marcus. He had destroyed Daniel. But in doing so, he had become the very thing he swore to fight. And he knew one truth he could never escape: betrayal never dies. It only waits for the next blade. And that's the end of this story. If you made it here, you already know you don't walk away from Betrayal unchanged. If you enjoyed this thriller, hit that like button, subscribe, and let us know in the comments if you want more stories like this. Until next time, stay sharp, because trust is the most dangerous weapon of all.